to get out of your vehicle to put up signs. Did Clue say something else? One second. Okay, there she is. Sorry, I missed it. She was caught red-handed about not getting out of her vehicle. Then they played the video and showed it on my daughter, Clue says. I would like to see the whole thing. And that way, I think people could I think that way it's not as partisan, because if you say something, certain people are going to believe you, and if someone else says something, they're going to. So I just think it would be best if the whole video was out. She wants to. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to do that right now, to be quite honest with you. No disrespect or anything. I just don't want to get in the stuff. But you can email me or something, or call me or text me. I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't like getting in the middle of all of the stuff. I feel how I feel. She feels how she feels. I don't think anyone has done anything perfect in this. No, don't tell anybody to leave, Chad. No. She's just as welcome to say what she wants to say. Is what I'm saying. Hey, hold on. Let me fix this mic. All right, what's up?
So I just want to make it very clear. I am not trying to just bash Betty, right? But I will absolutely tell what happened in that courtroom.
Hold on. Let me turn this music down 1 second. All right, go ahead. What was that?
I will tell what happened in that courtroom non-biasedly, because the judge didn't just get on Betty. The judge at one point also got on Chris Proudfoot.
For like what?
So there was a lot of questions that were asked, and in other words, there was a lot of beating around the bush, if you will, when it came to answering those questions.
Like the semantics?
I know at least. Correct.
Mm.
And I know at least twice he had to stop Betty and say, that is not the question. It's a simple yes or no. Answer the question. One of those moments was when she was asked whether or not she thought Chris and Katie, offed their son. And she started doing a lot of talking, and the judge stopped her and said, it's a yes or no question. And she then answered yes. And then the lawyer said, and hid the body. And she said, yes. So there was also a time when Chris Proudfoot was up there and he did the same. He said, it's a yes or no question. What's the answer? Right? But I can tell you 100%, I was sitting there and watched it happen. She absolutely perjured herself on that stand, and the judge got freaking livid because she said, and she testified with her lawyer, that she never got out of the car. Then there was a video played, a compilation video of her in the neighborhoods or whatever, peppering flyers, whatever it is, and she exits her vehicle. She walks up to the pole, she puts it on, and she comes back. And the judge literally in that moment said, now I need some clarification because you said you did not get out of your vehicle. How did the flyers get on that pole? Did they fly out of the window? So, and this I think is something that bothers me probably the most when it comes to proper service. Do you know the ADA was there? The district attorney, associate, whatever she is, district attorney, she actually got up to the podium and she spoke about the part about being properly served. And she said, I sent in a response. Miss Griffin was served at her home personally by a sheriff. She was, in fact, properly served. And then she went and sat back down. A lot of times I see a lot of misinformation that comes out of certain places. And I'm like, well, you're not going to call me a liar. I sat there and watched it happen. You know what I mean?
Right. I
don't know if it's...
I think it would be best if... Do you think like Court TV is going to show the whole thing?
Court TV?
Weren't they there? Didn't they record it all?
I saw two camera people.
I think one was Court TV.
One was obviously WKRN, and I don't know who the second person was. They didn't have any identifying, like it was a girl in a black shirt and black pants, and there was no identifying whatever she was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was fair that they didn't allow the when Mr. Foote said the thing about running her over. They didn't allow that in.
They didn't allow what?
They didn't. Did they not? They supposedly didn't allow that in because they said they would need a voice analysis. Is that correct?
Well, he asked her. That's what he asked her. He said, "Are you a voice analysis?" And she said no. And he said, "Well, then it's speculation."
Well, but this is the thing, also. But like on the phone, like if you threatened me or I threatened you, one of us would go to jail. We don't need a voice analysis for that. You see what I'm saying?
I would agree with that.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't, it's, I think, if, I don't know, it's, clips can be taken.
I just personally,
sorry.
Like, I see all the comments. I understand that, like, you and I have two completely different audiences.
Sure.
But it's not, I don't care if people like me or not, but I am not a grifter. I don't do YouTube for money. My man takes care of that for us. So I don't need to come on here and like fabricate a story, et cetera, right? I don't need to do that. I am, however, going to come in and tell you exactly what I saw go down. And that is exactly what I saw go down. Period.
What was your first comment? I may have missed it. You had
about her lying.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
Which I'm sorry, but she absolutely did, and she got caught up in it. Like, she got caught in it. by the judge.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't, anybody else can come out here and tell you whatever they want to tell you, but I'm telling you, I really do wish, I'm with you 100%. I wish that somebody that was there with a camera would put out the entire hearing, because I think it would put a lot of stuff to bed
Well, I mean,
in this case.
I agree with that, because I think, people are where they are in this case. And, I think it clears up not what you say or your opinion is of it. You know what I mean? Like, even like if I was there and you was there, we might see things differently. Some things, and then we might see some things similar, but then it I think people, if they saw it all, they could make their own decision.
I do agree with that. And people keep asking what was so funny in court. We were sitting there laughing. See, this is how that works. Obviously, if you've never been in there with a camera, they film you the entire time you're in there, even when the judge isn't. And so before court started, we were just having a conversation. Do you want us to sit there and like cry and moan and be miserable? No. Like, we were having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like, and I think that's funny too, that Mr. E said that we were all laughing. Well, I mean, I hate it for most people, but I'm not a miserable person. Like, period. Everything I do, I have fun with, or I wouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? We were having a conversation. Things were funny. Not even about Betty or any of them. We're just talking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the clip that they chose, because, again, court hadn't started. So
what do you think it would take for everyone to just like chill out with each other?
do you really think that's even possible? I don't.
I think
really
I
don't.
think it is. I mean, I leave everybody alone on, with other channels and stuff. I mean,
I think it should be possible, and I think in most cases it really is. Like, I don't see a lot of people on YouTube. Like, I think about Idaho. I didn't see people going at each other over Idaho.
well,
Not like this.
Tennessee is different. I don't know what it I don't know what it is. But every case that comes out of Tennessee, these high profile cases, Tennessee doesn't, especially with these missing cases, it's very frustrating for the public, because there is a lot of kids and young adults. I mean, there's probably, 5 or 6 right now that are high profile in Tennessee, and just none of them are solved. And
I mean,
I think it's frustrating
I can't
for
argue that.
the public. I mean, there's I don't know, I don't know how familiar you are with the Summer Wells case. But it's, it's another one very, I mean, there's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of differences as well, but did you watch the Summer Wells case?
A little bit, but
Yeah.
I know what you're getting at. Like, I do. I won't sit here and say 100% that I think CBI has done the most bang up job on this. I'm not ever going to sit there and say that. I won't.
Right.
I know we've been out there searching. Like, we've gone out and searched. We've done our part to spread awareness. I have billboards. I've handed out wristbands. Like, we have put in the effort and energy for Sebastian. You know what I mean?
Well,
I do know this. They do respond. Like, they do look at stuff. If you send TBI something, they do get it and they do look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never. I mean, TBI. I think they're overall pretty professional. But the thing that I don't understand, Clue, is why is it okay for some people to search and others not?
That's a good question.
That's
Why is
that's
that?
because I have always supported anyone willing to search. Anyone.
Well, I can tell you that.
Go ahead.
I get that, and I can tell you that we've been out there searching on more than one occasion, and we've never been messed with once. Even Crabtree's never been messed with once.
Right.
There's never been a 911 call for someone to report a harassment while they're searching. I think the bigger question is, why is this a narrative that's actually there? I can literally leave this house right now and go on my live stream, show where I'm going, drive to get there, and no one will come bother me. Am I that scary?
I mean, I don't know about if you're that scary or not, but the thing is like, I mean, it's, Betty goes somewhere and people know where she is, even if she's got a rental car. And it's, people follow her, and it's just because they just don't like her, and I feel like that's just it, because she's, uh, I think women who are outspoken, many times they don't, uh, yourself included, people don't like outspoken women a lot of times, strong-headed women. Um, I think she's an easier. I don't like the the gang mentality against anybody. Um, I just feel like, why is it okay for this creator to go search, put up flyers, and do it peacefully, and it's not okay for Betty? You know what I mean?
So I do. I get what you're saying. I don't remember her coming here to search. That's just me. I didn't see her searching.
Search, flyers, just, in general, like things like that.
No, but I mean, who messed with her? Like, she was live the whole time. Who in the world came up to her and said, "Stop doing this"?
Well, I mean, take the instance for the step, not the step, the Mr. Foot's stepdad, right?
Mm-hmm.
He supposedly had this receipt that he was at, was it Sam's Club?
The parking lot she was in.
Right. So she's there. Betty stops because the police are obviously looking for her for some reason. Someone has called the police on her.
Thousands of people called on her.
For what?
Not kidding. I don't know. They were lying. If what she's saying is true, they were lying.
Right.
Because they said she was driving erratically, weaving it. I did not see that. I watched her live when she was here. I did not see her weaving about in traffic. I didn't see her driving recklessly. That's just me.
Right.
So whoever called and said that obviously was telling a lie.
Right. Right. And she's just, I mean, she's I try to give credit where credit's due. She was busting her ass out in the sun, putting up those flyers. Now, Whether you agree if they're on the polls or whatever, that's a whole nother subject. But she's out there, she's putting up the flyers and everything. You can, when a cop's looking for you, you know what I mean? If they're going to pull you over or whatever, they they may
Yeah.
pass you or whatever. And so she stopped and she got out, and obviously he was looking for her, and she's having this conversation with this police officer. And you can see the Bauer Sox guy going through this
Mhm.
intersection while she's speaking to the police. She gets back in her car, and she's continuing to talk to the police officer for some minutes. And then she gets back in her car and she's telling what's going on, and she's holding up this flyer, right? And the next thing you know, this is, several minutes later, he's behind her. Um, he had to stay in that section for several minutes while she is parked, uh, not knowing, when you're live, especially locals, they know where you're at, right? I mean,
Mhm.
if I was in your city, um, and I was live, you would know where I was at. If you was in my city, I would know where you were at, right? Um, so, there was at least 12, 15, 20 minutes or something that he was there watching Betty. Now Betty, she was at some gas station, and then she went on some highway and stuff like that. Um, so I think the I mean, she wasn't harassing uh those people. She was putting out flyers. She was actually going to go grab something to eat. And then as soon as the cop leaves, he's right behind her and then pulls out. Like
I haven't seen him.
he wanted
I
her
just
to
haven't seen the
know.
clip.
You could tell, like, I mean, he was
I
like
haven't seen the
dead
clip
behind
where he
her.
drives by.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen the clip where he drives by her. I've seen the clip where they're showing the intersection and someone is moving in front of her, and they said that was him. That's not the right car. It's a Mitsubishi. Not hard to, I don't know. Some stuff is hard for people. I haven't seen the clip where he drives by her because all I could see while her car was still was a tree. If that clip exists, if someone would email it to me, that would be amazing.
So it's
But
the clip where the clip I'm speaking about is when she is back there speaking to the cop. You can see a QX80 go, like, I guess it's like an intersection there. I'm guessing. But you can see there's, like, I guess, like a stop sign, and he's like going through
yeah,
it,
it is.
and he's like going
But
through
see,
it.
that's what doesn't make sense because there's not a stop sign view you can see where she was parked. What she's looking at is literally across from her is another row of parking. You can't view the stop sign from where she was parked. So if he was coming down that lane, that could be one thing, but you can't see the intersection from the view of her camera. I mean, we shop there, we live here. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
That's why I'm like, I just haven't seen that clip
it's her camera that's recording
in her car.
in her car.
Right.
Correct. Okay, I just want to make sure we was talking about the same thing. Yeah, I showed it yesterday. I used to have a QX80, so I'm very familiar with them. But and then, she's talking to that police officer, and several minutes later, he's you know, like he the only reason you're going to be behind someone that close is you want them to know that you are there.
I would agree with that, except for I know the parking lot, and you have to enter and exit driving a certain way. The arrows show you which way to go, right? So if he was parked on the row in front of her, he would have had to back out, go down, turn around, and come out behind her. But here's the other thing, right? So let's say that Betty gets to this parking lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Terry is either coming in after her or whatever, right? Let's be fair. And he goes into the Sam's Club, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Buys his whatever it was. I think it was crackers or something. I don't know. He comes out, gets in his car. Let's say he sees her pulled over by the cops. Per Betty's own words, there's nothing wrong whatsoever with him stopping and taking a photo of her. He couldn't argue that, and she wouldn't argue that, you would think.
I mean, technically, a public area is a public area. You can take a picture of anything in public. But the thing, what I'm trying to say is what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Agreed.
If, you know, if that's the case, then why are they screaming harassment that, you know, you're like, they're in fear of their life for...
I mean, you're allowed to take a picture. What you're not allowed to do is to get out of your vehicle and approach someone like she did at his vehicle. That's a problem.
I listen, I have always said I don't think she should have got out of her car.
And she also trespassed on their property. She keeps saying this, and this is another thing. This is what I mean by what I said earlier. There's a lot of misinformation that comes out, and people just take it for fact.
Well,
I tried to tell her before she came here, there is no such thing as a, whatever they call it, an easement here in Tennessee. That is not how that works here.
Well,
you own your land to the road. When she got out of her car and went to that utility pole, he was on their property. Well, period. That you can't change the law.
I haven't checked that or anything, but the thing about trespassing is you have to be notified the first time, and then if you come on after that, that is when it's considered trespassing.
Oh, you don't live here, do you?
Well, I mean, trespassing, if you don't, you know, if is there trespassing signs up?
Yes.
Was there trespassing signs up in the yard?
Yes.
Where are they at in that yard, you know? I mean, even a trespassing sign, you have to be trespassed by the law. Like at that moment, if they felt like she was in some sort of, like, she was trespassing, that's where they should have said, okay, call the police, I want her trespassed. And well,
so I just want to read you something. No, you cannot walk on anyone's property in Tennessee without their permission. Entering or remaining on someone else's property without their consent is criminal trespassing in Tennessee.
It is. Yes. Yes. You do have to. The thing about it is you can be trespassing, like, you can technically be trespassing the first time, but you have to be told.
But it's not an easement, guys. They're not, like, you guys aren't understanding. They don't live in the city. They don't have an easement. There are no easements. It's the same thing with
I'm
our
not even
property.
talking about
There
an
is
easement.
no.
I'm not even talking about an easement. The easement thing, I don't even know about. I mean, uh, it's like we're gonna now. Let's say, for instance, she took something off the property. Now that's different. That would be different. But if you are on someone's property, then you need to be there has to be some sort of documentation that you are not allowed to come on this property again. You come on this property,
But that's,
we are going to arrest you.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, that is not how you just said Tennessee is different. Tennessee is different. Go to Justia, look up the law. It is a Class C misdemeanor if you come on someone's property and you do not have their permission. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. Like, it is trespassing.
Mhm.
Period.
I'll look at it. I mean, I are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry,
Oh,
my
what-
phone's
what
about
is
to die.
that
My
doing?
thing just went.
I'm here.
My thing just went ding ding. But
I heard that. I was like, I don't know what that's doing.
yeah, my phone's about to die. It's like at 4%, I think. I don't know. I think everyone needs to be, I don't having opinions. I don't I don't know. I don't know. I just hope they find Sebastian. Just ask her if you creators can get along. I just think everybody needs Betty wasn't. Is there so I want to ask you this before my phone dies. If like, how do you know she was on the property? On Chris's property,
It's on
allegedly.
video.
What
It's on video.
do they got video?
They do.
Okay, so they got video now at their house.
It came from somewhere in the neighborhood.
The neighbors, gotcha.
It is on video, 100%.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not trying to like bash her, right? But I mean, I can tell you that I saw her perjure herself on the stand. Everyone saw it. The judge stated it. You know what I mean? He kind of clarified with her. And the trespassing thing, I do know about. That is trespassing. I get people say that you have to give someone notice. It does not work that way here. It doesn't. And she was talking about an easement. There are no easements here. We own our property to the city or county road, wherever it ends and the road starts, that's where the city and county own. Up until that point, that is your domain.
Yeah,
and I do think creators can get along. We're getting along right now. Like all this animosity between everyone, in my opinion, I'm not afraid to say this, I think had some help being made. And I firmly agree. The last thing I'll say, I firmly do agree with this judge. I know not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's fine. But his ruling, he went to his chambers. He took over an hour and a half to look up things about whatever he had to look up and came back and made his ruling. I feel like every time, and I'm not trying again to just be out there like that with Betty, but we saw the same thing in Georgia. They're corrupt. It's corruption, the bad cops. And it's like, that cannot be the case every single place that you go to. It cannot be that cops everywhere are just corrupt.
Mm-hmm. Easement example site plan, Sumner County Development Services. I had somebody who is in the development services in Sumner County send this to me. Parcel of land must have a minimum of 50 feet on road frontage or a recorded easement to access each parcel of land. Easements must be 50 feet in width and must not be shared with any other property owner in order to obtain a permit. Building pools, tractation.
As far as I know, if I step off of that road, basically, if I step onto the property line, I am technically on somebody's property.
Correct.
My understanding is I don't have access to walk on even a utility easement, because unless I'm a
utility worker, right?
To my knowledge, there's no public access to personal property in this county.
That's what I read.
I do think that probably is the situation with some cities, but in the county, my understanding is it doesn't work.
That's what we've been told. I mean, 100%. That's what we've been told.
I mean, should you go on someone's property? No, you shouldn't, right? In my opinion. But
I agree.
Should you go to jail? I mean, for, putting up a missing child's, I don't think so, just in my opinion. But I'll look more into these easements. And see more. They're gonna send me some. This is the development. Oh, maybe they sent me more stuff.
Well, while you're looking into the easement, you should probably look into whether or not it's illegal to post anything on a utility pole in Sumner County. That might surprise you too.
Well, you're actually technically not supposed to post on a utility pole at all, anywhere.
Correct.
Anywhere. But again, you can't single out one person for that.
I mean, I didn't pull her out.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. When I say sorry, I'm a hillbilly too. So I say you as in
yeah, I got you.
But
y'all.
Well, and not even y'all. I mean anybody. Like, well, I guess it would be y'all. Like, you see it, I see it. We tack shit to phone poles and electric poles and stuff all the time. You know what I mean? That's yard sales, garage sales, lose 20 pounds in 30 minutes, this, a cat missing, a dog missing, a child missing, Xbox for sale, divorce attorney, anything. And the thing is, if we're going to make that case for a child, for someone tacking up a missing child's poster, flyer, then we have to do that for everyone. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think that there's bigger things to worry about. I just think sometimes it just gets petty.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with if anybody took any individual thing that is complained about in this situation, I don't disagree with you on its face, right? And I don't disagree that me personally, I wouldn't. I probably would. I know I wouldn't have. I would have never gone and filed for one. That's me.
Right.
However, when it did happen and all this started, I started looking at the law. And I've said this before. I don't particularly like the law in Tennessee, the way it's written for that. because it's subjective the way that I read it. It's subjective to a person, an individual's feelings.
Correct.
If they present as a reasonable person and they make a claim that they interpret as such, then by the law they're entitled to the order of protection. And the thing that I've been disappointed about is the fact that the first three, there was no representation to contest them. And I think a lot of people, you had said earlier, you wish, you could see the whole thing. And I do agree with that. I think if everybody could watch could have been there, or if it had been live streamed, or if the entire footage that was recorded could be obtained, I think that gives everybody a fair shot at making an opinion about what happened.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It really would.
I agree with that.
It would. Like, I mean, because, and I'm kind of with him on this, right? Like, I will say this, no matter what, I feel like honestly, the one person who probably stood the most chance at getting a PO would have been Terry, because of what she did to him at that intersection, right? At that point, everyone talks about going real life. You're going real life, right?
Well, in fairness, though, right? I would have loved at that point, when that hearing was to be had about that order of protection, I would have loved to have heard the argument to that there and seen the evidence to support that argument presented there. Yesterday wasn't a situation for that to be heard, and that's, it is what it is.
Yeah. But I also think that, I mean, it should be stated what all was said in court. And I don't know. I think I do not agree with the judge was in a bad mood. I'm sorry. He seemed to be like in a fine mood until two things occurred. The first one was the first one was that video being played. And the second one was the realization that she just lied in his courtroom after raising her right hand and saying she wasn't going to do that. And I'm sorry, but that would make me mad too. Don't come in here and lie. Come in here, present your case, but do it with the facts.
Yeah.
You had no problem sitting here saying that you thought that they offed their son. Why do you have a problem saying that you got out of your vehicle? In my opinion, it's because at that point you would have to admit that you trespassed, and these POs should probably stand.
Fuck, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry I talked too long.
No, you're fine.
But I'll let you go.
You're fine. There was... What the fuck was I going to say?
No, telling the truth. I'm going to address this comment. She lied. The judge caught her.
That's
lying.
what I was going to say. Mr. E and Mrs. E, who I have a lot of respect for. I think they're very calm, rational human beings. They, which Mr. E was there yesterday, in his opinion, he said, based upon, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he felt like the judge was in a different mood, not just with, it didn't seem just like with Betty, but it just seemed like he was in a mood kind of all day. And that was, and both of you have been there in other times, right, with things going on. Yeah. And so, and that just
every time.
Right.
Yeah, we both
even with the other judge.
Yeah.
And that just so both of you have different perceptions on that. And
well, and I think that, the first time we went there and saw Judge Blanton, I thought he was just, an extreme hard ass. I thought that's just who he is. And my opinion hasn't changed about that still, but I've got more of an understanding because we've also seen him in other situations and how he handles things, and he's just extremely blunt.
Agreed.
Yeah, with judge, yeah,
You know,
most judges are there.
and I think, yeah, I don't. The thing about his mood that I will say that I can understand how somebody gets that perception, and I mean that's, anybody could argue that all day, but what I don't feel like it's applicable to the outcome, because when he gave his conclusion, he explained every reason for every decision he made and supported it with the law and with testimony that was given yesterday. So, I mean, I can't even really say that his mood impacted things.
Mm-hmm. Well, if this ends up being appealed, it'll all be critiqued, and his stuff will be critiqued. The attorney stuff will be critiqued on both sides. The people involved, they'll all be critiqued, and it'll, if it goes forward anymore, I don't know. I hope this child is found, and whatever happens, because I think we're all done with this.
Yes.
In a lot of respects, I think it's taken a lot of. I don't know how all y'all fight all the time, because it exhausts me. I don't know how y'all do it.
Who?
All of you guys, like
I don't fight with nobody.
well, I mean, you go hard. Come on now.
Look at your chat, right?
Come on.
Read your chat.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
When I first came on here, absolutely, I would go back at you all day. But what I
you have calmed down a lot. I'll give you that. You have from.
None of them are worth my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're just not. Today, I saw a live where one person's on the panel, the person they're fighting with is in the chat, and they're going at each other. And it's like, I personally, that's just, I don't know. I don't want to do all that drama. You know what I mean? And it's like, when we say, can creators get along? A lot of that stems from the people that watch. Like, I just saw earlier, someone put a comment in here, Clue is trying to play Justin. For what? What would be the point of that?
Well,
but play him for what?
This is the thing.
What am I going to get from him?
I believe people can have adult conversations and disagree.
Thank you.
Personally, I mean, if I, started, which I don't do that, but if I started yelling, or if she started yelling, our egos are going to kick in place, and then we're not going to get anywhere. And that's the problem with YouTube. That's just the problem with YouTube, is egos. Many of the times, not all the time, but many of the times. I mean, I support Seth. I support Betty, and do I agree with everything all the time? I don't agree with everything on anything all the time, but I'm sure you don't agree with everything on the Proudfoots all the time. I know you don't, because I've heard you say that, right? But you support who you support at the end of the day, and I just wish there could be. I just don't understand why, like, everyone is.
I can tell you.
So worried about.
Let me explain this, okay? Because I know people want to know. People asked me earlier, why did I, quote unquote, turn on Seth? I met Seth. And in my opinion, the first time I met him, he made it abundantly clear that Sebastian, in my opinion, was not necessarily his main focus. When I met him the second time, in my opinion, there was no more question about it. I absolutely saw what his motives were. And his motive, in my opinion, was money. Period. when I saw him say to JLR what he did, I knew then. And it was a feeling I got. People can argue all day that you don't get feelings from people, you don't feel something when you meet people. That's fine. But I can tell you that I do.
Yeah. I mean, see, and that's the thing. I get a completely opposite feeling. But you know, I think of Seth as the one that's taking the interviews. That's there it went. Uh-oh. All right, we'll do it again next time. Sorry guys, my phone died. 1 second.